It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. Today's date is the 24th of November. Happens to be a Monday. This is the C block, the Charlie block, which means we get into it around 7:40. It's 7:49. We're late this morning. Okay, John, you threw something at me on Friday that I did not know about. And I've done a lot of research over the weekend, and it turns out to be a fascinating story. Okay? You want to say
let's talk about your old YouTube pal with the catchy name. And before we get in, I would like to say at the end of B Block today on November 24th, we talked about the Associated Press's Julie Pace. I suggested maybe she's probably the type that shops at Lane Bryant. I looked up pictures. I'm on Google Images. She does not appear to be a porker.
Thank
So
you.
I would like to withdraw my statement that she probably shops at Lane Bryant, and I would like to apologize to Miss Pace. Brad, you were talking about a gentleman based in Tennessee? What's his name, Brad?
WhistlinDiesel. His real name is Cody Detweiler. And it's a fascinating story because he starts out, and what I find so fascinating about this is a perfect example of someone who busts their butt and comes a long time. I've been watching this guy for years, and what it turned out to be, he was, I guess you might call him, I don't want to say sort of a low a white trash kind of guy, but he lived somewhere in Indiana, and he lived on a farm with his parents and didn't have a very good life, quite honestly. He talks about this, from time to time. And he decided he was going to take his love for cars, actually some people would say his distaste for cars, and he was going to do something unique, and he started fooling around on YouTube. And he started doing crazy stuff on YouTube, like he would buy cars and he would purposely destroy them. And the thing that probably got his attention was he bought a real nice Ford pickup truck, like a quad cab with lifted 4-wheel drive, the whole bit. And he buried it. He borrowed one of his dad's bulldozers because he lived out in the farm, and he buried this thing. And then they dug it back up to see what happened to it. And then one time they decided they were going to test and he has these things called, this is how the whole thing started. He has what he calls his durability tests, and through the years, he's gotten more and more and more expensive cars. He does the durability test. And the one that's gotten really interesting, the one that sort of put him super famedom, or whatever you want to call him, in the car world, he did a comparison between the Cybertruck and a Ford F-150. Now, he goes out and buys these. These are not things that like the car companies give him. He buys these cars and trucks brand new. And the interesting part of it was, he embarrassed Tesla because if one of the ads that when they introduced the Cybertruck, I don't know if you saw this ad or not, the Cybertruck was at a drag race. It was a drag strip. The Cybertruck raced a Porsche 911. But what you didn't see at first, the way they had the camera shots, you saw the Porsche 911 and the Cybertruck line up at the Christmas tree at the beginning of the drag strip. And then they took off. And then the camera pulled out, and you realized that the Cybertruck had a trailer on it that had a Porsche 911 on the trailer. So if this makes any sense, the Cybertruck pulling a trailer with a Porsche 911 on the trailer is racing against a 911, and it's beating the 911. The idea being
wow, I hadn't seen that.
Oh yeah, and that really got people's attention. Now, the interesting part of this was then Tesla say, see, our truck's not only durable, it's aluminum. And then they had the deal where people were shooting and the infamous one was when they first they did the thing with Elon at one of his rollouts, and he threw the steel ball at the window of the Cybertruck, and it broke. It wasn't supposed to break. But there's all sorts of videos online where people shooting rifles into the sides of their Tesla Cybertrucks, and the bullets don't go through. Okay, so they were talking about how tough this truck was. WhistlinDiesel, in his durability, broke the trailer hitch, broke the entire rear frame member off of the back of the Cybertruck. And this has happened several times because the way the Cybertruck is built, the frame is cast aluminum or some kind of aluminum alloy. And if you know anything about aluminum tends to be brittle. And unlike steel won't usually tear or rip, but aluminum will. And during one of his durability tests, he broke the entire trailer hitch assembly off the back of his Cybertruck, and everybody went, "Oh my God, look at that!" And this got to be a real black eye for Tesla because of the fact that they're touting, "Oh, this thing's so tough," and it wasn't. So anyway, Cody Detweiler does these things, and the particular incident that this thing's about is he bought a Ferrari. I think it was like an F8, and he drives this all over the country. And they're driving around with his camera crew, and they're doing goofy things with this Ferrari, and they're pushing it to its limits. And they're driving in Texas, and they're driving down a highway like in the middle of nowhere. You get a kick out of this because it involves a farmer. And he just drives off the road, hits a bump, the car catches a little air, and he goes flying across this farmer's field that looks like it was just harvested. Looks like it might have been corn or something like that. And he's he's driving across this field. And he stops in the middle of the field, and the car starts to catch on fire. The Ferrari catches on fire. His camera crew comes up next to him. This whole thing's being done with multiple camera shots. His camera crew, who was driving in a rental car, a rental van next to him, pulls up next to him and starts filming the Ferrari. The Ferrari goes into full flame mode. The thing becomes like a torch, and it becomes such an intense fire, it catches the rental car on fire. This was not scripted. They had no intention to do this. Okay, so in other words, his car was destroyed. He paid $400,000 for this car, and he's laughing about it because the car is being, torched, and he had to buy the rental car. So what does he do? He takes the car and chops it into pieces and buys these plexiglass Lexan cubes or something like that, and sells the pieces of the burnt Ferrari online, and he makes back his $400,000, okay? So the video, what happened to him, I think this happened not last week, but the week before, he bought this place in Tennessee. He's got like hundreds of acres, might even be like close to 1,000 acres. And this is where he does all his thing. He built this warehouse that he works out and stuff like that. So the video is, and keep in mind, he's got this long driveway that goes between the road he's on to where his thing is, and he's got a big gate up there, and there's a gate code with a door opener and the whole bit. And because he's got fans that show up and they bother him, so he put this big gate. So one of his guys says, "Hey, there's a bunch of policemen walking up the driveway," and it's like a mile. To give you an idea how long this driveway is, like a mile from where the road is to where his building is. And here's 6 police guys, 3 county deputies, 3 state troopers. And they walk up to his place, and they ask him, "Are you Cody Detweiler?" And they said, "Yes." And he said, "Turn around, you're under arrest." So he's thinking this is like a joke, and it wasn't. So they put him in handcuffs, and they take him away. Why did they arrest him, John?
Oh, it was for tax evasion, right? Didn't he? The vehicle should have been registered. This particular vehicle should have been registered in Tennessee, but he registered it in Montana?
Yes, there is a thing among a lot of these people that buy expensive cars. And I even mentioned I have a friend of mine that had 2 expensive RVs. And what happens is the way the law it is in Montana, that if you have a company, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have a physical location, but if you have an LLC or a corporation that is registered in Montana, Montana does not have sales tax on vehicles. So in other words, normally when you buy your car in Missouri or Illinois, you have to pay the sales tax. Well, not in Montana. So he bought this car and he registered it in Montana, which once again, there's probably tens of thousands of guys around the country, guys and gals, who do the exact same thing. A very common thing. Sometimes you go to car shows, you'll see a lot of Montana license plates. You'll think, okay, how in the world does that guy drive it up? No, he's lived here in St. Louis, okay? So they arrest him because he didn't pay sales tax on his Ferrari when he bought it. Now, I won't get into the law. There's a crazy thing about, where the car is domiciled or wherever the term they use is. His point was he didn't receive any notification. Nobody called him. Nobody sent him a certified letter. Nobody served him with like an order to come to court. They just essentially, some judge signed off on the fact that he owed the state of Tennessee $30,000. And the police came and arrested him and took him off the jail in handcuffs and leg shackles and put him in jail until his guys came and bailed him out. Okay, don't you find that a little heavy-handed?
Yeah. So do you think that someone in some office was seeking to make an example out of him?
That's
Or, Brad, do you think the county deputy sheriff's office or whoever just has a list of people who owe more than 25 grand, and every month they say, okay, here's the list of people we got to go serve?
Well, John, here's a perfect example. And the answer to your question is I don't know. Okay, if you underpay your federal taxes, you get a letter from the IRS. Get what I'm saying? And
yeah, you wouldn't have somebody show up at your door and arrest you.
right. If you don't pay your state taxes, or let's say you're in business, and I've told the story. Remember, I told the story of the sales tax fight I got into with the state of Missouri, where they told me I owed $4,000. I ended up getting a $9,000 refund. Okay, but I got letters, and then I got certified letters, and then I got a court date and things like that where I could show up and plead my case. These guys, and once again, he has no problem with the deputies. They're doing their job. And the crazy part of it was he even said to them, this is really funny. He says, if I knew you were coming, if you would have called me, I would have given you the gate code and you wouldn't have to walk a mile.
Yeah, I thought that was a funny piece of it.
Did you?
So I wonder if, I'm sure they're having discussions in the sheriff's office about whether it's their usual protocol or whether they're trying to make an example out of it. I'm sure there's folks in the WhistlinDiesel community. I haven't read the comments, but I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are like, they're trying to make an example out of him. This is, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's true or not.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. And I say that's wrong. I mean, why, in other words, the idea being is, and I don't know that much about the Tennessee state laws and stuff like that, but let's say that happened in Missouri. Don't you think there would be people going like, okay, hold on a minute now.
Yeah, I do, Brad. They could have given him a heads up.
Right.
And he could have filmed better camera angles, brother.
Well, he talks about the fact that he's got an accountant because this guy is making millions of dollars. He has 10.2 million subscribers, okay? And to the point where I told you the story when his Ferrari, this Ferrari that he didn't pay sales tax on, when it caught fire and was destroyed, he made his money back with the video because that was one of his most popular videos. He made the money back.
There were so many views of it that he was able to monetize.
Right.
He made the money.
And then
and his attorney, people don't know this, he was looking for one. And he was driving through the Westplex, and he heard an old guy come on and say, when are you going to realize the IRS is serious about collecting their money? We've seen a huge number of intents to seize, property to seize, gonna seize, and should seize. Don't wait another day. IRS deadlines are real. Call us.
But see, what you're making fun of Lance Drury, one of our sponsors.
I'm not making fun of him, I'm paying homage.
But the interesting part of it was, that's the perfect example. What did you see? A notice to seize. In other words, they could have filed a court case against him, which they did, obviously, but they seek an arrest warrant for him, and they go and they pick him up, and they do the perp walk thing. And the crazy part of it is, he talked about the fact that where his shop is, they walked him back down a mile of this driveway that goes from the main road out to his house in leg irons and handcuffs to their squad cars. I'm going like, okay, let's think about this for a minute. We have 6 law enforcement officers, okay? Let's say by the time you throw in FICA, FUTA, FUI, SUI, workman's comp, health insurance, it's guys making like $100 an hour, right? You get what I'm saying, John? Okay.
I get exactly what you're saying.
So, and you got times 6. So they drove out to his place. And let's say
cost him a lot of money. Add those numbers up.
Right. To the point where it's like, wouldn't it be simpler just to, because he's got attorneys, and wouldn't it be simpler to just, have the prosecuting attorney from whatever county that is, send a nasty gram to his attorney saying, hey, we're going to come after Cody because we think.
And then you could negotiate it.
Exactly. But instead.
You could have somebody get, hey, Brad, let us get between you and the IRS. You know that Lance Drury's middle name is Negotiator? He was influenced by your mom, who named somebody Lance Winter Hildebrand. That's why his mom named him Lance Negotiator Drury. It's a true story.
John, you know what? I'm gonna have a rough day starting on Wednesday because I won't be able to have these
Brad,
fun times
miss
with
you too.
Okay, we got to get out of here. We're right on time. What time is it, John?
It is advanced dense brain fog 8:03.
Talk to you tomorrow, John.
See you, Brad.
And Tracy, I love you.
Oh, lots of kisses. Where would you kiss her, Brad? Oh, Brad, not like that.
No comment.
We already made one Lane Bryant comment today. It's 8:03.